Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ritu, your host for today's powerful and inspiring session. Today we come together to talk about courage, resilience, and the power of human spirit in the face of life's toughest challenges. It's my absolute honor to introduce our speaker, Nirja Malik, a true cancer conqueror, motivational speaker, and expert counselor with over 50 years of experience. She has not only faced cancer on but dedicated her life to guiding, empowering others on their journeys. As the founder of multiple support groups, she has been a pillar of strength for many, offering emotional, mental, and spiritual support. Her dedication has earned her prestigious accolades, including the Cancer Crusader Award and Excellence in the Cancer Counseling. But beyond the awards, her true impacts in the countless life. She has touched the transformed. Today, she is here to share her journey, her wisdom, how all we can face adversity. Let's all give a warm welcome to Nirja Malik. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ritika.
Ritu.
Too. It's been so wonderful connecting with you. And would you like me to start right away?
Yes, ma'am. We can start the session.
So, before I start, I always address everyone and say that the divinity in me bows down to the divinity in all of you. So, what I am going to do now is just tell you, in short, briefest possible, a little about my life's journey and the impact that it has had, not only on me, but everyone else. As Ritu told you, that 50 years back, I finished my graduation in social work. A year later, I finished my B.Ed. I have been born with the gift of the gab, and God said to me, people like to confide in you, talk to you about all their little problems, or big ones for that matter. So I'm so glad it is the God who had guided me to do these two things. And he says, now I'm going to give you so much experience in the university of life. And I said, Andyo, let it come. Because my basic point is that I have immense and intense belief in God. And the words I use are to trust, to have faith, and to surrender. And I feel that whatever happens to us, if we utilize it as something positive, not negative, if we utilize it as saying कि ये मेरे लिए अच्छा है, this is for my good, and if we utilize it saying that it is a learning experience, not only for me, but this experience is going to help me help others. So realize something, that if you have experienced something and you can talk about it, then you know what the ace up my sleeve is. That when I'm counseling patients for the last 27 years, it has been dedicatedly cancer counseling, because I've gone through since then cancer twice, which means major surgeries, six sets of chemotherapy, a total of 80 radiations. And then I also went through septicemia, which meant 210 injections in the jugular. Apart from this, after marriage, God says, Chal. Now I want you to experience so much that anyone who comes to you, you can say, I've been there, done that, and I understand. I understand what you are going through, and if I can do it, so can you. So that is the ace up my sleeve. So that meant many miscarriages, then a stillborn in the 8th month, cancer twice, septicemia, and By the way, also, right now, as I speak with you, I have 3 broken ribs. Of course, I have adjusted as to how to move around in life without hurting myself or harming myself or getting the excruciating pain that comes. But I tell you one thing, my darlings, that if you take things on, not with a, oh, what am I going to do? But you take it on as, Andio. And you know what? We shall overcome. Hum honge kamyab, and we will conquer it. So when I was diagnosed with cancer, I went running to my father and I said, Papa, I'm going to fight cancer. And do you know what my father told me? He said, Beta, why are you fighting cancer? And the carpet was pulled from under my feet. Why? Because all the time I thought that my father, a retired naval officer, a captain of the ships in the Indian Navy and the Foreign Merchant Navy, a warrior. He's participated in the 1971 war and he's got a mention in dispatches. He's going to be proud of his daughter. And he said, Why are you fighting it? I said, What do I do? And he said, You know what? Face, don't fight. Because fighting is negative. Facing is positive. Fighting is, okay, I'm going to do this to you. I want to do this to you. And facing it, all right, let it come. I will do the best I can. And we will conquer it all. So if you hear anyone say that I am a conqueror, not a warrior or a survivor, those are my words 27 years ago. And if you hear anyone say, don't fight cancer, face it, those are my father's words 27 years. So, what do I want to tell you? I want to tell you that we can go through anything and everything. But if we know that we have the support of our family, our friends, our community, our guru, and our God, then we can jolly well beat everything, face it, and come out with flying colors. So you might say, people look at me and say, Oh my God, you've gone through this, that, the other. Yes, but if I can, so can you. And what does it take to do all this? Immense faith in all the things I mentioned, but maximum in yourself. मैं ठान लूंगी. I am going to do this and not for others. Do it for yourself. Because that is what gives us the power, the Shakti, the sense of achievement, the pride in ourselves, the honor that we were there. And with our faith, our trust, our strength, we have crossed mountains, we have crossed barriers, and we are successful. It's like running a race. Talking about running a race, maybe all that has helped me is that I have been very athletic. I have grown up like a wild child within and amidst nature. I was born in Srinagar. And you can imagine the Vadiya, the beautiful rivulets and rivers, the mountains, the greenery, the animals, the birds, everything that uplifts your spirit. God has placed these elements for our benefit. Let us make use of it. Why? Because they have a very calming and beautiful effect on our inner being. So after all that, God said, come. So I managed to do a lot of voluntary work in orphanages, in hospitals, in cancer hospitals, as well as old age homes. I kept doing whatever I could every week. It was like, all right, I'm going to take this as a challenge. I want to help as many people as I can. What do they say? Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. That you serve humanity, and automatically that itself is worship towards God. So, my dears, remember that self-talk, how we talk to ourselves, how we think of ourselves, how we support ourselves, how we strengthen ourselves is the best way to move forward. Also, when you're down in the dumps or when you're feeling sad, by the way, I'm totally human. People ask me, did you become spiritual after all that you went through? I said, no. I always believed God. When we were little, we were taught the Gayatri Mantra. So, what do? My meditations, my speaking to my friend God, my communicating with all the people around me in a very lovely, connecting manner, full of love, compassion. And what happens? See, now I'm talking to all of you. And what do I feel? I can feel your energy. Now, the fact of the matter is, I am sending all of you my love. But aren't I the lucky one? I'm getting the love of all of you right where I am. So if we go around thinking that there is no difference between us, if we go around thinking that we are all one, there would be just peace, there would be just harmony, and there would be no fighting. Fighting with others or fighting within ourselves. So let me give you a couple of examples. In my journey of cancer, the friends of mine who used to call me chemo angel, and they insisted that when their vein was being found to give them the IV for chemotherapy, I should be there because they felt that my presence would calm them, would make them serene, and everything would get done easily. In fact, some of them even said that you are our lucky mascot. So you should get our results, you should get our reports because we trust you and we know that all will be well. I took on whatever tasks anyone wanted me to do. But one day, let me tell you what happened in the daycare. Now, when you are getting a chemotherapy, you don't really need to stay overnight unless it's the beginning doses, because then they want to keep you under observation. And what is chemotherapy? Girls and boys, I'm going to simplify it. Chemotherapy, chemical treatment. So supposing I have a toothache and I eat a croissant, literally you could say that it is a chemical treatment for my toothache. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Let us simplify the big scene because it's no longer big. It's become small. It's become tiny because there is so much of research being done. Things that we thought 100 years back, 50 years back could not be treated. I want you to understand that there is treatment, there are new medicines, there is so much of research being done, and it's all for our. Another thing I want to tell you is that when we think of chemotherapy, we say, oh my God, I'm scared. How about if you think of chemotherapy or your treatment as a friend welcoming a friend? When I go for a walk or when I go to a mall, a lot of people meet me and they say, hi, Nitya. And I say, hi. Next time I tell you, I meet Ritu. I know what she looks like. And I'll say, hi, Ritu, how wonderful meeting you, Juppies and puppies. Imagine if your treatment is like a friend. Imagine if you welcomed your treatment. Because after all, what is treatment? It is for your good. Whether it's a knife, what happens with a knife? Your tumor is removed. Let's talk about an apple. An apple is spoiled at the top. So what do? You take a knife and you scoop out that bad bit. Let's say that's the tumor. We take it out and we chuck it. And the apple is good to eat. So let's simplify it. That's what? A surgery. Now, when you do a surgery or when the surgeon, and in this case, onco-surgeon does the surgery, what does he need to do? He ensures that around the tumor, there is a good margin. So when he does the surgery, he ensures that there is a margin around the tumor so that he takes it all out and then he treats the rest of the area and sutures it. That's your surgery. Then you talk about chemotherapy. Now, often, there are two ways of looking at anything in life, with fear or with welcome. So what would I do? I would see the chemotherapy coming drip by drip closer into my body. Or even for that matter, the 210 injections during septicemia that I got in my jugular vein 4 times a day. Or sometimes it was 4 times a day, which means every 6 hours, or 3 times a day, which is every 8 hours for a period of 10 weeks. So I would look at it and I would welcome it. So can you believe that? The drip is coming into your body and you're welcoming it. Now, when I talk about a drip, it could be anything. You could be, suffering from anything. And nowadays, even if you're fatigued and tired, they give you a drip to make you feel strong again. So whether there is medicine in it, whether it's just glucose, it is very helpful for your body. So you can look at the drip as it is coming into your body and welcome it because it's for your good. And you know what I used to tell the liquid that is coming into my body? I would say that I welcome you. And I would talk to the divinity in the medicine or in the drip and say, divinity, in my chemotherapy, please ensure I welcome you. Please ensure that my bad cells are destroyed and removed and leave my good cells alone. So it is all a matter of how you visualize things, how creative you become. And now, what is the last thing? Radiation, because normally it's these three things in the field of cancer. The treatment is normally surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. Now, what is radiation? The rays, radiation. And what do? They give it to you only 5 days a week. You have a break across the weekend. They give you chemotherapy only once in 21 days, or as the doctor feels fit to divide your chemotherapy across the period of time required to imbibe the medicine. Now the rays come, and it's the same thing. You welcome the rays because they are for your good. And I tell people very simply, I have simplified it to such an extent that supposing I am going through my treatment for cancer, how would I look at it in the simplest way possible? Sometimes I tell people, oh, you're cured, you've had a surgery, you're cured. The tumor is out, there's a nice margin. And then they say, yeah, but then why do we have to have chemotherapy? And why do we have to have radiation? So look at it this. Supposing I get Ritu a present. Am I just going to take the present and say, Ritu, here's the present? No. So let's say that the present is the surgery. And then what do? I will put my present in a box. I will put a wrapping paper around it. And that, my dears, would be the chemotherapy for me. And then I would finally take a nice ribbon and place it around. And that is how I like to get my gifts. So I feel very excited opening the ribbon and then the wrapping paper, then the box, and then seeing what's inside it for me. That is the excitement, when you are opening your diagnosis and going through your surgery, chemo, and radiation. Because it's like a gift. It's like a cure. It is a cure. And it helps no one else but you. So that is the attitude with which I have undergone so many things with the knowledge that it is the best for me. And I welcome it with open arms, with an open and receptive heart, and make the most of it. Now, this doesn't need to apply only to cancer. It can apply to anything. It can apply to a fracture. It can apply to having failed in an exam, having lost your money, having fallen down. It can apply to just about anything. Love failure. So what do? You dust yourself. You get up from your fall. You tie a bandage. You go to the hospital. You get a plaster done. You have some antibiotics. And in next to no time, you're good to go. So please remember, dears, that whatever happens to you, there is always a silver lining to every cloud. And that is the best way to take whatever life has to give us. And life also sees, okay, let's see how adventurous sweet child is. Oh, she can handle it? Fine. That's good. Oh, and she uses this experience to help others? That's even better. So that's what my life is all about. That whatever I've experienced, however bad it may be, I'm very lucky and happy because then I can tell patients, see, you know what? At one point of time, I didn't take my blood test at the right time. And what did I do? I enjoyed going out on my birthday. I visited the Gurdwara. I visited Ananjanaya temple. I went to Haji Ali in Bombay. And I went to someone's house and had lunch. And in all those places, I could have gotten an infection anywhere. Right? By the time I came home, and by the way, I did get my test done, but I should have got it done one night earlier. Because if I had seen the result, I wouldn't have stepped out of my home, leave alone my room, because my blood count was very low. And when your blood count is low, then you are vulnerable and you are open to any infection. But I'm glad it happened. And you would say, why would she be glad? Because the experience was that my fever was so high, my parents were waiting for me to return. They had the result in their hand because the first thing I did on my birthday was go to a diagnostic center and give my blood, which I should have done the previous night, then I wouldn't have gone out. We were looking very worried. I had a raging temperature when I got back home, and I had to delay my chemotherapy for 10 to 15. Finally, the doctors got fed up and they said, sorry, we cannot delay your chemotherapy. And what are we going to do? We're going to give you lots of steroids to fight your fever, and we will give you the chemo. So yes, there is, as you can see, a solution for every. So to come back to the example that I was going to give you. So I was with my friend. She got her, chemotherapy started, the needle went in, and there was this lady who was crying like an animal. She was screaming. So I left my friend and I went to the daycare, little cubicles for lots of patients who get their drips or IVs. And I went in and I said, what happened? And I was told that they tried to find her vein at least 8 to 10 times and they were poking her again and again. And they couldn't find. So I pretended to be very angry with the nurse. I said, please go. And I sat down by this baby. This was in the time when I didn't know Tamil very well. I live in Chennai. I still don't know it well, but I can get myself understood because a lot of my talks are in, well, a small percentage are in on Jaya TV and Galata and Pepper. They are in Tamil also. So I asked her, I said, what's your name? She said, Lakshmi. So I got hold of her and I caressed her arm. And I said, Lakshmi, arm tight irka. When your arm is tight, then the vein becomes tight also. It becomes taut, it contracts. So, what should we do? Relax. Just. And that's what she did. The next thing I asked her was, Who is your Ishtadev? She said, Anjanaya. First of all, I didn't know who Anjanaya was because we call him Hanuman. So thankfully, there was a lady standing there that I would have raised my eyebrows. She said, okay, how do you love him? Is he like a father? Is he like a son? Is he like a friend? Is he like God? She said, my father. I said, oh, and you call Anjanaya, tell him to come here. She looked shattered. She thought I had lost my mind. So there is a phrase in Hindi that says, Marta kya na karta. That when you're dying or something wrong is happening, you are prepared to take any action. So she said, all right. And then I told her, I said, you explain to him, if you love him as a father, then he loves you as his daughter. And fathers protect and take care of their daughters. So tell him what you're going through. Tell him to come to your aid. Tell him to help you out. I said, shut your eyes and say your job. She did it. By which time now, she was calm, collected, just not, looking taut, shattered, shocked. Slowly, she was getting prepared. So then I told her, I said, now see, like a hot knife goes through butter. Think. See, what is it all? Creative visualization. I believe a lot in it. I said, think that the needle, the Usi, is like a hot knife. And your vein is like butter. So when the needle comes towards your vein, it'll go through your vein like hot knife through butter. So I held her hand. I said, are you ready? And I called the nurse. She said, yes. I called the nurse. And I told the nurse, I said, May, do it slowly, do it properly. And she shut her eyes and she gave me her hand, very trusting. I held it, I caressed it. And in next to no time, the needle went in. Now, what was her reaction? What was Lakshmi's reaction? Lakshmi said, she just to open her eyes. And I said, Lakshmi, it's done. She opened her eyes and she found that the medicine was going in nicely. She held my hand and she kissed it again and again, saying, thank you, thank you. And do you know what I told her? I said, thank you for what? I did nothing. I said, you thank Anjanaya. He came down, he helped you out, and the entire credit goes to him because he loves you like a father. He didn't want you to be in pain. So anytime a problem happens to you, just call Anjanaya. Now, what have I done? I have given her an anchor, something to hang on to. Nirja Malik is out of the picture. Anyone who comes to her with a problem, she will very resolutely say, dil se, full of feeling, call Anjan. He will help you. So this is the impact that one who has experienced things can have on another who is about to begin on the same journey. because you've gone there, done that, experienced everything, taken out the best way of coping with it, of guiding others through the same thing. And that is what happens when we do it out of love, compassion, understanding, and a feeling of wanting to be helpful to anyone, anytime, anyone. So let me look at the time. Ritu, I want to say that I normally believe in MFSG, and M stands for mother. My mother was with me through everything, my miscarriages, my stillborn, my cancer, my septicemia, my broken ribs in school. I was a very naughty child. And I've fallen from scooters, from horses. I nearly drowned when my sailing boat capsized and I was underneath. I think all these things help in making you strong. So M for mother. F, of course, is for father, because my father never came to the hospital with me because I had so many people, my sister, my mother, my mother-in-law, my sisters-in-laws, they would all come. But before I left, he would put his hand on my head and say a mantra. And I would receive it and I would go feeling fully protected and shielded. F is for family, which means my husband, my kids, my community, my friends all over the world. And when they send you their prayers and their vibrations of love, let me tell you, it is very uplifting and it helps. Prayer is very powerful. And we are all lucky that we have so many people praying for us, sending their duas to us. So MFS. S is sister, siblings. My twins' names are with S. And then MFSG. And G, of course, is the abundant grace of God. I think that takes you a long way because I was given 25% chances of survival and not in India. I was told 27 years back that please, you have to go to France or to America because in 1998, they had started stem cell research. And the doctors here felt that I was the correct candidate for that. But I wept when I got to know. My dears, I wept for 3 days. Not because I was scared of death, because my twins, a boy and a girl, were only 7. I was 44 because they were born when I was 36, considering all those mishaps that I had earlier. It was 12 years after our marriage. So I wept for 3 days. And then suddenly it occurred to me, did God come down and tell me that you're going to die? Did God come down and say, you better start numbering, your days are numbered. You better start counting them? No, it was, after all, a human being, a doctor. I wiped my tears and I focused on a goal. And my goal was, I will live for my twins. And I'm 70, my twins are 34, and we rock. So never think of death, dying. Sadly, we just change our garments. I mean, if I kept thinking of, oh my God, this happened to me, that happened to me, and I keep worrying about what next, will I be able to live? Will I be able to share my feelings with you? Will I be able to help? In fact, I could just walk out of my building and a car could come and, or a lorry could come and slam into me. I won't even know I'm dead. So why should I worry about something that I don't know where I'm going to go, how I'm going to go? I know I came into this world and I will go. That's the fact of every human being. So that is how we live. Let's live every moment to the fullest, to our maximum capacity, with joy and with a feeling of wanting to be there for others as others are there for us. Let's make the most of it. And I wish all of you a wonderful day, wonderful week, wonderful month. Bless you forever and ever. So, Ritu dear, if we have any questions, I would love to answer them. Otherwise, I can keep talking for a very long time. Okay. So, there are mainly three things that you should take care of: not have oily food, not have fatty food, and not have chili food. Now, why do they say all these things? Because when we are going through chemotherapy, we have to be very careful of what we consume. Because imagine your system is weakened already because of the chemotherapy. Now, supposing you get something that is not properly washed, it has to be cleaned. Why do they say, please don't have raw food? For the simple reason that when it is cooked, at least the bacteria has been killed, the germs have been killed. So imagine you're feeling so low, fatigued, and you've got all kinds of things happening, and you eat something wrong, or you have, extra chilies or fatty or oily food, then what do you think happens? Your digestion cannot take it, and you're open and vulnerable to infection. So we have to be very careful as to what we consume, and we have to, every hospital, wherever there is an oncology department, has a dietitian. So the best thing would be to connect with a dietitian, because every cancer is different. Now, if you've got something to do with the stomach, your diet would be different. If you have blood pressure, there will be less salt. If you are diabetic, they will see that certain fruits that have sugar, you will not be allowed. So whatever the patient is going through, whatever his personal problems are, the dietitian of the hospital that is giving him the chemotherapy will be able to answer that question.
Yeah. So Vishram has texted, thanks for the inspirational journey. Hats off to your inner inspiration. Just wanted to know if reading inspiration books and listening music will help us more in such situation. Have you gone through these things as well?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Um, yes, of course. I have written a book, and the book is called I Inspire. That is why, Ritu, my email ID is Nirja Malik, my name. I Inspire, the name of my book, and at gmail.com. So I must tell you something very interesting. The minute I meet a patient, you know what I tell them? I tell them, You are banned, you are prohibited from going to the net. And they say, why? I said, because if you try to find out about your disease, Google Zindabad, what will happen? 4,000 people will give you 4,000 different ideas. And when you're reading up on it, you'll say, oh my God, this happens to me. Oh my God, I'm suffering from this. Oh my God, this pain, this ache, this what? You will turn into a hypochondriac. So, you know what I tell people? I said, sorry, not TV. Net is banned for you only and unless you want to do three things. So they say, oh, what are the three things? One, go to Google and look me up with the correct spelling, because if you say Neeraja, you won't find me. Two, go to YouTube with the same name. And three, go to a podcast by Nirja Malik called I Embrace. So what happens is that I've spoken about these things. I Embrace is half our talks. I've done about 36 of those. It kind of covers everything. And they are, maybe I'll talk to Ritu, they are some positive thoughts that there are about 20 positive thoughts that I have been giving. Earlier, of course, we had to cyclostyle them and Xerox them. And now WhatsApp Zindabad. So I think what I will do is I will send it to Ritu by WhatsApp, and then she can, pass it on to all of you at will. And strangely enough, my podcasts 14 and 15 are actually those 20 positive thoughts which have been divided into 10, 10. And when you read it, it takes about 2 minutes and 53 seconds, perhaps. But when I expand on the ideas, it takes half an hour for 10 and another half an hour for the other 10. So, yes, uh, you will definitely benefit
Yeah.
by all the positive inputs that I've given up. Enjoy reading the book, enjoy listening to the podcast, and
Yeah.
I'm happy to have met all of you.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. And Ankit has asked, ma'am, what advice would you be give to someone who has just diagnosed?
So the first thing is that when you are just diagnosed, you're shattered. Okay, now let me tell you one thing, that in my family, in 3 generations, we were about 48, 49 people. So uh, the Tata Memorial Hospital in Bombay used to say that there are two families, that have hereditary cancer. But I want you to know once again that the percentage is very small. It's like 2%. So you don't have, I mean, everyone doesn't say, oh my God, it could be. No. Secondly, when you are diagnosed, it can be very shattering. And therefore, that is why I wanted to start many support groups, which I have done, because I had personal experience. And also, I've done my graduation in social work. I had the skills of a teacher, of a social worker. Now we call it counselor. So I was a consultant counselor in a hospital also. And so, what I want you to know is that sometimes there were people who came to visit me. And so I've just been recently diagnosed, and people would come to visit me, and they wouldn't look me in the eye. They would look at their toes and their fingers and all that. And I realized that they were looking at me as if I was already dead and gone, or with one foot in the grave. So I realized that everyone who wants to visit you is not such a good idea. I discussed it with my family. And I said that, please, this person who calls up drains my energy, because he had lost his wife to cancer. So he said, don't do this, don't do that. I wasn't able to meet her when she died, blah, blah, blah. It can be very terrible. So you just have to be like, horses, they have those blinders. You have to be very self protective. You have to protect yourself and have your family around you like a shield. So they knew that if this particular person called, excuses on the phone were ready. You know, the children are studying. She's in the hospital getting a treatment. She's gone in for a bath. She's having her lunch. You know, so and the other thing is that please, if you feel that you would like me to counsel patients or someone who's very close to you and you know someone who could do with counseling, please take my number from Ritu and send me a WhatsApp. And what I do is, I had gone to America. They had, the Department of State had invited me for 21 days. We were only 14 people, and I was one of them the only one actually from India. The others were from different countries, and I was there as someone who had gone through cancer twice. This was in 2008, October. October is the month of breast cancer awareness. And the others were surgeons or women who were running organizations for spreading the awareness about diagnosis and treatment and rehabilitation after that. And what makes it very simple is that if you get someone who can explain things to you in a simple and direct manner, rather than, million people saying, oh, my uncle died, and oh, my aunt, and my mother went through it destroys you. So please realize that we are human beings and we need to ensure whose vibrations will help uplift us rather than pull us down. And let me tell you, if someone says 20 good things about Ritu and one bad, I will say she's got a beautiful smile, what lovely hair, look at her twinkling eyes, something. And one bad thing, she will forget all the 20 good and she will concentrate on the bad. Don't you dare do that, Ritu. I know you don't because you're such a positive person. I figured that out with my communication with you. But this is a human tendency. We tend to focus on the negative rather than the positive. So the best is to ensure that you set boundaries for letting in those people who will uplift you rather than drag you down. And now, if you have learned or heard me speak, any patient who comes to you, or anyone who's going through any tragedy, short time, long term, you know the way you should talk to them, the way you should behave with them, understanding sometimes just a touch, a smile, a listening ear is enough. They may not want your advice, but they just want to talk about, I went there yesterday and this is what they did this test and I'm so upset, I'm so worried. Listen to them. Let them talk. Let them verbalize and ventilate their innermost feelings. It will help them. And then you start saying, okay, you know what you could do? Which hospital, which doctor, I can help you. Do you need a counselor? Mirja Malik, maybe, she'd be able to help you. Let me try and connect you to her. I'm there for you. I just want you to know that, all of you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So Nirmit has asked question, what were the risks and benefits of the treatment that you have had undergone?
So what have I undergone? So I have, during my 2 sets of cancer, Friday the 13th of February. Oh, that's coming next week. Friday the 13th of February, 1998, I was diagnosed with left breast cancer. So because I was 44, uh, what happens is that when you're younger, see, when you're very young, your cells grow very fast. So it's the same with the cancer cell. So with the younger you are, the cancer cells grow very fast as in your body. Let's say that you get it at the age of 60, 70, 80. Your cells start slowing down. So in a way, the older the person, it takes much longer for an effect normally as it would a younger person because the cells are growing. You see? So at 44, and with the high risk of a family background, they chose, that's why they wanted to send me abroad. But my sister and my cousin in America connected with the doctors there, and it was decided with them what my course of treatment would be. I decided I'm not going to leave India because I didn't want to, if something happened to me there, my twins were only 7. So I did go to Bombay for my treatment because my parents were there, my sister, my in-laws, and they said, here you have your husband and you have your 7-year-old twins. We'll send one elderly person to look after them and you come and get your treatment. So I would fly there, get my uh, surgery, fly every time for a chemotherapy, and then for the uh, radiation, I would just live there for that duration of time. So that was in uh, 1998, left breast. Then in November of 2004, I was diagnosed again with right breast. So now it wasn't that it spread 7 years later, but it was what is called a primary. So if it spreads, it's called a secondary, right? But here it was a second primary. The first time it was a primary in the left side, and it had spread to my armpit. So that is, what happened. And so basically, I've had 2 major surgeries, and sometimes lumps come up on my, came up on my leg, in my chest, um, you know, and I've had some surgeries to remove those, which were thankfully benign. Tumors can be benign, not necessarily every tumor is malignant. Malignant means cancerous. It can also be benign. But if you have a benign tumor, it is always better to have regular tests so that you can keep a tab on it and prevent it from, like if the size is the same, the look is the same, every 2 years or years, the doctor will tell you, you need to be careful and keep, a kind of a baseline. So when I tell people to go and get their, test done, a mammogram or everything, I tell them don't think that you're going to get a test because you are going to get diagnosed. Think that you are keeping it as a baseline so that you can compare and contrast all those tests to see if there's any difference. And if it isn't, go right ahead living with that. It's not. So your attitude, even for your tests, of course your heart sinks. Of course you do feel scared. I do. I probably start seeing my job. It's a terrible feeling lying down in the cold when they're, checking you out, or when you've got your PET scans happening, of course, which is understandable. But then I take deep breaths and I calm myself and I let things happen. I am open, I am receptive, I don't resist, I do not fight, so that it's easier on who? Not the neighbor, but for me. So these are the things we do when I'm upset. Every day, by the way, I do a Sudoku. And I find that whatever your mood is, when you focus on doing a Sudoku and you get it right, well, You see, so these are the little things that you dangle in front of yourself to make yourself a happier person. So I hope all this answers
Yeah.
many questions.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So from Ramesh, we have a question. Do you know anyone who is out of this without chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery?
I will not talk about that. I'll tell you why. Because the first time when I was diagnosed, I had what is called naturopaths came to me. And I'd already gone to Bombay. My surgery was done. And they caught hold of me and they said, you know, you shouldn't have done it and we would have saved you and so on and so forth. Now, the thing is that a lot of people have gone through cancer in my family. And whatever it is, though I was given a very bad prognosis, I was well alive and kicking 7 years later to get a second primary. So this time they got hold of me before my surgery. And they came to me and they said, listen, we will help you. We're so happy you haven't had your surgery done. You don't need to have a surgery, etc. So Ritu, I can just say one thing, that if I lived happily for 7 years with allopathic treatment, then I told them that, you know, I'm happy with that. And I would repeat the whole thing again because it has helped me. That is the way I look at it. So if someone asks me what I feel, I only talk about my experience. For instance, someone told me, a homeopath came to me before my first chemos and said that, you know what, I'm going to give you medicine to take away the side effects. So I always have a very good relationship with my doctors. I promptly went to my oncologist, who was Suresh Advani in Bombay. And I said, you know, this is what the uh, homeopath told me. So he just told me one thing. He said, see, he doesn't even know which chemo I'm giving you. So how can he give you something to stop the side effects of it? So I have firm faith in this. And I do feel that if you have trust in Unani, Ayurveda, homeopathy, whatever, plants, everything, there's so much happening nowadays. Uh, finish your treatment and then do whatever you want. Because if you do it simultaneously, or sometimes you do it simultaneously with both the doctor and the Ayurveda or whoever, knowing that you're doing it simultaneously. Because otherwise you don't know what is helping you, what is not helping. So that's my very clear thing, that I did only allopathy, and I prayed, people prayed for me, all kinds of things. And be positive. I think the main idea is to be positive and to know that hum honge kamyab, all will be well. But yes, to answer that question, there were 12 chemotherapies together, two major surgeries for my tumors. Then they discovered a couple of tumors here and there, so minor surgeries to remove them, and about 80 radiations. In those days, we never had targeted radiation. Nowadays, you can have, lots of targeted radiations, which means that you might just have 5 sessions, whereas we needed 20 or 30 sessions, and depending on where it is and, etc. So I always say, welcome whatever is to come your way with the feeling of joy, of happiness, of knowing that that is for your health and you can get out of it. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for the answer. So, I'm just taking a last question from
Yeah.
Shutesh. Is it possible to detect cancer a second time while the person is already undergoing treatment for the first diagnosis of cancer?
By second time, do you mean a gap between the two Or you mean simultaneous?
I guess gap.
Okay. So what happens is that sometimes, you know, the doctors know the case very well. So one of the best ways of finding out where the problem is for doing a PET scan.
To interrupt you. So Suresh just wanted to question you. Suresh,
I'm
you can.
so yeah, sorry to cut you. Actually, it was no, it was happened to simultaneously. There was
I see. Yes. So basically, the doctors may be aware that this is a fast spreading cancer, and therefore they will keep tests done, more often than they would otherwise after a session. So it is always very good to go exactly as the doctor says. Sometimes we feel that, oh my God, we've just done it, and why again? But the doctor will not tell you something wrong if he expects, and he will tell you to do it just to be on the safe side. So that is how it comes up, because I do know people sometimes, from different parts of the body through the bloodstream, it can travel to other places. That is why they give chemotherapy. Surgery ho gayi hai. What is the need of the chemotherapy? That if the surgery has taken place and one of those cells or two, three, whatever have escaped and gone into the bloodstream, from the bloodstream, it can go anywhere in the body. You know, you can't keep a tab on it. They're like gundas and chores and dacoits who are very clever. So, therefore, that's why when people say, now, why are you saying I'm cured? If I'm cured, why do I have to do chemo and radiation? Because if something has escaped into the bloodstream, the chemo is given straight into the bloodstream, right? And that is why we have chemotherapy through IV. Then radiation. Why do they give radiation? Because while the surgery is being done, if some of them have escaped into the bed of the tumor, after all, what is a bed of a tumor? The bed of the tumor is where the tumor is sitting on. Tumor to nikal diya. But if some of the cells have escaped there, so they give you radiation for the areas where the surgery has been done. Now, sometimes if it's a very fast growing cancer, or depending, it can be very slow growing or may not come back again. But if it's a fast growing cancer, then the doctors, to keep you happy and to be on top of it, will tell you to do certain tests. Regular blood tests, PET scans, MRIs, CT scans. These are the different things that they ask us to do. And that is why we need to do it. And yes, cancers can be found simultaneously because through the bloodstream or through the rest of the lymphatic system, they can travel around the body. Now, for instance, they have from my left armpit, they have removed 21 nodes, which were cancerous. Out of 21, 9 were cancerous or malignant. That's my left armpit. From the right armpit, they removed 38. So now that means that the lymphatic fluid comes into my arms, but there is no way that it goes back into the body. So you will find that people with cancer may have, where depending on where the cancer is, you will find that my arms are this is all lymphatic fluid collection. It collects, but there's no way to get it back into the body, right? So when one is aware of all these things, then it makes life just easier. And you accept it. Of course, when I was diagnosed, people told me, and I went through my treatment, people told me that you should wear a stretch bandage, a sleeve all around your arm. But what did I discover? I discovered that at every time, if I had a sleeve on my arm, it would make me feel sick. That which would remind me, oh, damn, I'm sick. I don't need that, because if I keep feeling something's wrong with me, now how am I able to be happy and healthy? Because I don't have a reminder. I know what I've gone through. I utilize it for my benefit and that of others, but I don't continuously have a sleep. Of course, other people wear sleeves and it does them good. I'm not denying that. But I am who I am. And for me to wear a sleeve would always be a constant reminder, oh God, I'm not well. I wouldn't want that. So to each their own. And I talk about what I have gone through. I never comment about other types of treatment because, a lot happens on the mind. And you're right, people, there have been miracles where people could go through, do away with cancer cells with creative visualization or, the grace of God. But this is what I feel, grace is there, abundant grace is there. But if you can get it done allopathically or whatever way you feel is best.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope, Suresh, your question is clear. Please respond me in the chat box if it is clear. So, Nirja ma'am, on the behalf of everyone, I wanted to express our deepest gratitude to you for sharing your powerful journey as a two-time cancer conqueror. Your strength and resilience are truly inspiring us. So, I just wanted to thank you. So, on the behalf of Ethica and Ethica clients and their employees, we really grateful that you really took our session, and it's a really heart-touching story. So, मैं आपको सच में थैंक्स करना चाहती हूँ कि अरे सच है, क्या कहते हैं, बहुत स्ट्रांग वुमेन हो एंड यू स्टिल लुक लाइक अ यंग.
Ritu, I would like to end by saying that we have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual things making one human being. And sometimes there is more of spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. मेरी तरफ से physical I could be better. अगर आप मेरी पुरानी पिक्चरें देखोगे, very svelte and all that. But the thing is, the crux of the matter is कि जैसे हो, खुश रहो. Be happy in whatever state you are in. And when I turned 60, people asked me, oh, you've turned sweet 16. I said, no. They said, why? I said, drop the zero. I've turned 6. अब मेरी उम्र है 7 साल. I am now 7 years old. Because I've 70, drop the zero. So it's all there. Yes. Thank you so much. I've had such a good time talking to all of you. And thank you for inviting me. And it's been a wonderful evening for me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll see you in the next session. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye, ma'am.
Bye, bye, dear. Bye. God bless all of you.